Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel and today's video. So the Swedish word of the day is spring, which is the Swedish vår. Vår. So today we're gonna talk about 7 palettes that you can use for spring, or 7 palettes that I think are perfect for spring. And one palette that I don't think is perfect for spring is the one that I've used today. I did film this look. I did a little look with the products that I have in my shop, my stash. So if you do want to see how I got this look, the video is already up and I will link it right up here. I used the Prism palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is this one, and then I topped it off with my Urban Decay Moondust palette, and I used the shade Light Year, which is this one. Holy Grail palette. Absolutely love the Moondust palette, but that is not what we are here to talk about today. So I have seen a couple of my friends do this video. I've seen Kelly Gooch and Karen Harris do this video, and I will link both of them down below with their videos as well. So I am very inspired by them, and I really wanted to do this for myself just because spring is just around the corner, and I feel like we need some positivity in this day and age, or at least during this period of time. Anyway, when I thought about a spring palette, the first one that came to mind was this one. This is from Colourpop, and this is the Sweet Talk palette. I bought this a couple of months ago, last year, maybe last summer, before last summer, maybe even a year ago. Anyway, I bought this from Colourpop, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not. I had seen some people talk about it, and I knew that I wanted to see it for myself, and I wanted to see it in person. And I was already placing an order at Colourpop, so I thought, why not use it? Or why not purchase it? So this is what the palette looks like, and you can see that I have used this so much. I don't use the pressed glitters, and there are a few shades in this that I just don't really use, but you can see what shades are used and abused, and I just adore this palette. This palette is so good. It is so beautiful, and not even only like, just look at the packaging, it's absolutely stunning. And last summer I could not put this palette down, and I do the same look every single time I use this because I'm so boring, but it's just, I love this palette. This is, I think, one of my all-time favorite palettes in my entire collection. This is probably my favorite Colourpop palette ever because the tones is unique for me, and I love the formula, I love the shimmers, I love everything about it, so I'm just gonna stop raving about it. The next, this is the second time I dropped this earring. I don't know what it is. The next palette I want to talk about is a palette that my friend Amy Loves Makeup did in collaboration with Amy Hearts Beauty. So this is the Alma palette, and I will link her down below as well. And I have actually done 2 videos with this palette, and I can link both of them down below as well. But this is such a beautiful palette. I love this palette, and I think that the quality is great. Now, if you like kick up, I wouldn't recommend this because the mattes has a lot of kick up. They are pretty soft, but they are super blendable. But I know that some of you guys don't like kick up, so just be mindful of that. It is a pretty fragile palette, but I just feel like taking, for instance, this shade all over your lid if you wanted to, or take a little bit of this, can be such a beautiful pastel easy look that is colorful without it being like too much. This shade, oh my god, I love this shade. I think that this shade is probably the best in the entire palette. I reach for this palette a lot just to use this shade because I feel like it's such a great shade. And then of course, every time I feature this palette, I just need to talk about the shade Roman because I'm just gonna let that swatch speak for itself. The next palette is actually a palette that I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with. I really like the palette, and then I hate the palette at the same time. So I need to put this in a shop my stash for spring or for vår, so that I can use it and see what kind of looks I want to do with it and see how I feel about it, because my makeup preference has changed. I've toned a lot of things down. You might not be able to see that today, but I have. This is anyway the Juvias Place Douce palette, and it looks like this. It's just, is it a little bit too light in here? This is a beautiful palette, and this shade has a beautiful pink shift to it. This shade, I could just slather my entire eye with this and walk out the door. Maybe pop a little bit of this in my inner corner. So I am really looking forward using this, and I really want to use this shade as well because it's beautiful. And yeah, like just these three or these, okay, I'm just getting ahead of myself, but I think that this is really beautiful, and I will for sure bring this palette out for spring so that I can do some pretty soft, beautiful looks with it. I want to talk about my newest palette as well because I do feel like this is pretty springy. This is the Natasha Denona Love palette, and I did the simplest look one day, and I actually filmed a video. I think it was how to like no by quarantine video I did. I don't know, but I did a super beautiful look in my personal opinion, and I got a lot of questions from you guys. I popped the look right here if you want to see it, but I did actually use Valentine and Intense, and then I just took the shade Heart all over my lid, and then lastly I topped it off with the shade Giving just over it, and it was so beautiful. But I feel like with this palette you have so many beautiful pinky tone shades, you have some pinks, you have some reds, and you have these beautiful shimmers that is just gonna pop in the sunlight. It's just gonna be so beautiful. So this palette is pretty expensive, and if you don't like expensive makeup, I mean, I feature some Colourpop as well, so I have actually so many palettes that I would love to talk about in this video, but I wanted to keep it at 7 so that it could be like super quick, easy. But if you want me to do a part 2 of this, I could. So the next one is from Kaleidos, and this is the Neon palette, or the Futurism VR Neon palette. This is beautiful. So this is what it looks like. As I said, it's beautiful. It's a colorful dream. Now, some people might be a little bit intimidated by this and feel like they don't really know what to do, but you can, and this is something that I have tried to teach myself as well, that you can take 1 or 2 mattes and then just a shimmer all over your lid. I tried to take a lot of inspiration from Kaleidos because I just think that she looks so soft and elegant in the way she does her makeup. She does colorful looks, but they're still like so beautiful. So I highly suggest you guys to go ahead and watch her because I think that she does beautiful looks, and they really complement her eyes and her eye shape. I need to fluff up my hair a little bit. I feel like it's way too flat. Anyway, I have looks with this palette as well, and I feel like I really want to take maybe this shade, just like a one color, maybe the yellow as well, just to blend it out a little bit, and then maybe the orange just all over my lid. I feel like that can be so beautiful. And the pink, this summer I used this pink. What the fuck, the third time I dropped this earring, what is it? Sorry about that. But this pink is beautiful. It has so much dimension to it, which is gonna draw attention to it, and everyone is gonna ask what's on your eyes and really see your eyeshadow, which is fantastic. So this is the last indie brand palette that I'm gonna feature, and not everyone's palette is gonna look like mine because I've changed it up a little bit. So this is the Menagerie Cosmetics Feral palette. This is beautiful. This is probably one of my favorite palettes when it comes to packaging. They really kill it when it comes to packaging. This is what the palette looks like. So you can see that it is pinky, greenish, and then we have some other pops of colors as well. The reason why mine looks a little bit different is because of the fact that I had the OG palette and then she amped it up a little bit. So she actually removed, I think it is this shade, but I kept this shade because this shade is one of my favorites in the palette. I kind of have to have it, especially in combination with the other pinky shades. I love using the shade Harmonia and then Wisteria and then Pack Leader all over my eyes, but now I've really come to love this. I feel like this is sort of a pretty good dupe of the shade that's in the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. I think you know which shade I mean. I also really love it for the green shades. However, same thing here with as the Alma palette. You will get a lot of kick up when it comes to these shadows, so a light hand or you'll hit pan instantly. So just be really mindful of that. But yeah, I think that this palette is beautiful and it's springy, and the packaging just makes me happy. My last palette is probably the palette that I would say is the least springy when you look at it, but I feel like you can get so many springy looks with it. And that is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy palette. This is a palette that I feel like I'm in the honeymoon phase with. I cannot put this down. I haven't used it for a couple of weeks now because I did my eyeshadow palette collection video and I found so many palettes that I wanted to play with. So I haven't played with it for maybe like 10 days and I'm getting the urge to play with it again because I love this palette. So this is what it looks like. So you do have some kind of murky deeper matte shadows, and you also have some deeper shimmers as well. But if you start looking at, for instance, this little quad right here, you can get some beautiful summery looks with it. Also this quad right here. And I feel like, I mean, I think that this palette is beautiful for spring. My favorite look is to do a warm crease and then Anastasia, Cupcake or Reezy, like my first shimmer, and then Barb closest right here. You can't beat this, sorry, but this is my favorite palette in my entire collection currently. Hands down. Hands down. I just love it. Sue me. That was some of the palettes that I feel is perfect for spring. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and I will see you in my next video. Bye!